everybody. Welcome. Today we have our Hangout on air with AdMob, frequently asked questions. In the Hangout there will be 4 people today. Myself, my name is Laura, and I work on AdMob support. My colleague over here, Irina, she works on AdMob sales and support alike. And VC into us and joining us in this Hangout from our office in Mountain View are Tien and Ji-Hong. So we will take on 10 questions today. And if you just let me share with you what questions those be. The list you can see here. And the first one to go ahead will be Irina. And she'll take on, starting with, where do you want to go when you have ads that you want to place within your apps?
Okay, great. So what we're going to look at is if I wanted to advertise, when do I advertise through AdMob or when should I use AdWords? So for all of you who are interested in advertising your application or promoting your app, you might have heard that since June 2012, the AdWords and AdMob technology was merged, which is really exciting news because in the past, AdMob, through AdMob, you could reach any publisher and advertiser to promote your application on over 300,000 apps running AdMob ads. But since June, you can now access all of the inventory through the AdWords interface and reach the same apps without needing to go through AdMob if you already have an AdWords account that you're using to promote your, let's say, desktop or mobile site. You can now also promote and target apps through this interface. However, if you just have an application that you're interested in promoting, you can also use AdMob to do this if you don't have an AdWords account already. The second frequently asked question that we get is, what are the optimal ad placements in an app? And also, you know, how do we kind of avoid any areas or issues that can pop up around having ads in an incorrect placement within your application? So what we want to avoid is, you know, accidental clicking. And the best thing we can do there is recommend that your ad placement should consider the flow of the user's engagement within your application. So you want to place your ads where users might, you know, you'd expect them to be still engaged in what's happening on the screen, but less engaged in terms of interacting with their, you know, their thumbs with the application. So an example of good places would be transitions in written content or during level changes of a game, or when a user might be expected to exit the application. What we'd ask is that you should be careful around using ads when your audience is kind of prone to an accidental click. Like, for example, if the app is for children, or you know, they might be interacting a lot and they mightn't realize that they're clicking on ads by accident. Similarly, if a user is engaged in playing a game, that's, you know, be sure not to place ads where it'll interfere with the user's interaction. Ads shouldn't be placed on, let's say, a dead-end screen. There has to be a way where they can exit any screen that contains ads without having to click on an ad. So, you know, back or menu button is a good option in these scenarios. Alternatively, users could be notified by a home button that will allow them to exit the application. Another example of what not to do per se is when ads shouldn't be placed in an application screen where the users aren't focused on the screen at all. An example of this would be a flashlight app. Ads shouldn't be on a screen where the flashlight is in use and they're actually using it for light rather than looking at the screen, so they don't have a chance to even see an ad properly at all. In applications like this where the phone is a tool, the user's focus is obviously off the screen and accidental clicks can be very likely. However, this kind of an application still could have an ad on the menu screen. So there's other options. You can monetize your app at different points, and maybe not the whole way through the experience. So to avoid accidental clicking, we'd say don't place the ads next to interactive buttons such as next button or in the middle of a gameplay screen where users are interacting continuously with the application with their thumbs, whether they're really trying to get into a really good game, for example. Another option is always that ads that remain on the screen when a user scrolls through the content may be placed at the top of the screen, or also appropriate borders with sufficient separation is fine as well. And for all this information or more, remember that our Help Center is a great source of detailed documentation around what we would advise you do and you don't do around ad placement. So one of our third questions that we get asked a lot by developers is what ad sizes does AdMob support, and when can we use interstitials, for example? So for Android, AdMob supports the 320 by 50, which is our standard banner for phones and tablets. The 300 by 250, which is the IAB medium rectangle for tablets. The 468 by 60, the full banner for tablets, or 328 by 90, the leaderboard for tablets. And smart banners, of course, for phones and tablets also. And we have a number of different sizes that we support for smart banners. So if you'd like to examine them more closely, you can just check this out under formats within our Help Center. Paid interstitials are ads that are only available for selected partners, and we will be checking and reaching out to eligible publishers for this, and we'll contact you if we feel like it's a suitable option. Interstitial ads obviously can be run through a house ad campaign as well. Okay, so there's our top three.
So guys, yeah, Irina covered the top three questions for us here, and as you can see from the list, these ones were the advertisements within the app, where to go when you want to advertise. Another one was the optimization for the placement of those ads, and and the sizes that we have available. What I'm gonna take on is a question that we get like really, really frequently in support, and that is, what about my payment? What offers do you have when it comes to a method of payment? What is the timeline for that payment? And how frequently do we get paid? So important part to remember here is that at the moment, AdMob supports two types of payment. One is PayPal, the other one is wire transfer, so bank wires. PayPal has its own threshold, which differ from those of bank transfers. So for PayPal, you need to have at least $20 at the end of the month for which you want to get paid. What that means is that if you have not reached the $20 mark by the end of, let's say, November, as we are in November now, your payment for November will not start being processed. You'll have to wait through your December payments in order to, start seeing the money arriving in your account. For wire transfers, so for when you put your bank details instead of your PayPal details in the account, what you will need to get is $100 threshold. So, 5 times more than PayPal, but that is unfortunately required at the moment from us. Once you will have reached that threshold, we wait till the end of the month, and then after that point, it takes about 45 days before you actually get paid. And you ask, why does it take so long? There's a few reasons for that. And the main ones are that we still do policy and spam checks on the earnings that have been acquired. And we do that because we want to create a fair environment both for developers who want to monetize their apps, as well as for advertisers who trust in the developers to promote, the advertisements fairly to others. Once those checks are completed, and that usually takes, about 30 days from the moment that the month has finished, you will see a notification in your account saying that the payments have been started to be processed. And this often confuses developers because you expect, okay, so I've gotten a note in my account. It says that on the 1st or 2nd of the month, the payment started being processed, so I should see it any second because we live in a digital world, and that's when it should, get into my account. Unfortunately, that is not the case. The messaging, may not be the clearest there. You will need to wait another 14 to 16 days, maybe, before your payment actually reaches your account. That's because of other processes that are related to our payment system at the moment. So if you sum this all up, from the end of the month, when you've earned the required amount of either $20 or $100, you still need to wait 45 days before you actually get the payment within your account. We are working on improving the system, in case you have been wondering, but it's not yet ready and not yet there, and we will let you know either on the AdMob Plus page and in the Help Center for sure once it becomes ready. Another question that we get very often, especially recently actually from developers, is what happened to my app? Why did I just suddenly stop earning? Why did my dot go red in the account? And what has happened? I haven't received any notification. So this is often related to the fact that AdMob and AdSense have more or less unified their policies, which means that the apps that serve ads from AdMob right now, they need to be family safe. So if you have an app which has adult content or content that otherwise would not be allowed on AdSense, your app will probably stop serving AdMob ads once it goes through the policy, and the quality checks. So if you have, sexy girls wallpaper or any other apps related to that, you can expect that at some point the ads will stop serving within your app because this is now not in line with our policies, which have been, unified with those of AdSense. There is a link in our Help Center which outlines the changes in the policy as well as the exceptions to the policy that we have with AdSense. And just so I don't omit anything, the difference in policies is with regards to ad placement. So, in AdSense you can have 3 ad units and, extra units as well. With AdMob, it is 1 ad unit per app, or 1 ad unit per screen that you can see at one go. And we do not, diverge from that. This is the limit. Recently, I had several questions about whether I can create multiple AdMob accounts in order to place multiple ad units within one app. And the answer is no, you can't. There should be just 1 ad within the given screen in an application. Another part is regarding the ad behavior. So you shouldn't create ads which will obstruct the users from using your app, and also you shouldn't create ads which will be flicking, constantly refreshing, causing the application to be difficult to use, because that is also not in line with our policies. Another part which often comes up is regarding to clicks which we would consider invalid. And what would be an invalid click for us? It is a click which is either done by yourselves, so you shouldn't click on the ads in your apps. There is test mode for that when you want to test whether the ads are working. And you shouldn't encourage people to click on the ads within the app. Sometimes what we see in apps is that developers place a message saying, click on the ad below in order to make it disappear, or they promise you something else. Well, this is something we don't really support because that is not entirely fair to the user and to the advertiser, and this is not a behavior that we would like seen in our, in the apps that we monetize through AdMob. Another, invalid click opportunity would be if there is any, third-party software or group actions targeted at clicking the ads within an application, and we do have systems and we do have teams which do take it very seriously that any click that happens on an ad is by an interested user. So do keep that in mind and try to be as fair as possible within your applications. Now I will pass over to my colleagues over in Mountain View, who will answer a few other questions for you over there.
Hi everyone, I'm Tuyen, and as Laura mentioned, I'm based here in Mountain View, and I'm going to be taking the next couple of questions. So let's go ahead and start off with, does each app ID or app require a unique app ID? Yes. The reason is that when you actually publish an app to an app store, either the iTunes App Store or the Google Play Store, you receive a unique package name or a unique app ID for that particular app. We recommend that you actually put that package ID or that app ID in your AdMob account settings when you're setting up your site ID. In addition to that, we recommend that you have one site ID per app. The reason why this is important is as you start to grow and as you start to build more apps, this is going to keep your reporting for each app separately, and this is going to help you figure out which apps are performing, which apps aren't, and be able to manage and optimize your account for the future. And let's move on to mediation. So what does mediation do and what doesn't it do? And can I add my own networks? Great. So as many of you know, we launched AdMob AdNetwork mediation in AdMob earlier this year, and it was formerly AdWorld. So AdWorld is now a part of AdMob.com, which is a part of your account interface. And what it does is it allows you to mediate your impressions across multiple ad networks. So if you decide to work with more than one ad network, let's say you work with InMobi, iAds, and AdMob, you can decide to split your inventory available ad impressions for those 3 networks. You can do it in 2 different ways. The first is by eCPM allocation. So this is what most people would consider a waterfall, where you would put the highest earning network at the very top, and then you would put the second highest earning network, and then you would put the third network. What will happen is the ad call will go to the first network, and then if that network cannot fill the ad request, then it will go to the second network. If the second network cannot fill the ad request, then it will go to your third network. The second way where you can allocate impressions is by percentage. So if you wanted to equally distribute your impressions across all 3 networks or distribute them in any particular way, you can set the percentage of impressions that each network will receive. Our AdMob AdNetwork mediation will actually randomly select the network that will get the first ad impression, and then it will try to distribute it according to the parameters that you have set. In addition to doing this, you can also set these things at a country level. So let's say your app performs better in the US than it does in Pakistan. You can actually set different prioritizations for different countries as well. In regards to networks, we do have a set of networks that are already integrated into AdMob AdNetwork mediation. However, through a feature called Custom Events, you can add in any chosen network of your choice. What you'll have to do is set up the network in this Custom Events channel and set up the correct adapters for it, grab the SDK for your own network, and integrate it into the mediation SDK. So it's very simple. All these steps are actually listed out in our Help Center under AdMob AdNetwork mediation. So please go ahead and check that out for more information. I'm going to hand this off to Jihong Lee, who's going to take over the next couple questions.
Hi everyone, this is Jihong from Mountain View as well. So I'd like to cover a couple questions for you guys. So first one, what is the optimal refresh rate for apps? My answer is there's no such thing as an optimal refresh rate, but there are like few cases that I like to share. So one thing to note for the first is that we have recently changed our policy. So we require refresh rate to be greater than 30 seconds. So that's one important thing. And so one of my publisher actually have had a great success with having a refresh rate as a no refresh, and some other people have succeeded putting it as like 45 seconds. So it really depends on your application. So for example, if you have like a radio application and your user will stay at the same page for like 30 minutes, 60 minutes, then I think you should refresh your ads like every 60 seconds so people can see new ads every minute. Whereas some applications such as Craigslist type of application, the user will browse through your application very frequently, like look at the many pages. In that case, one strategy could be having a no refresh, because the page would refresh every time. So test it out, and you can experiment many times, and I think you could find the optimal refresh rate. But in general, we think that over higher than 60 seconds have better performance in general. And the last question, what does AdMob reporting offer me? So AdMob has a very extensive reporting feature. So I hope you guys are on the looking at the your AdMob accounts. So there, in the AdMob account, there's a reporting tab in the main screen. So there are like there are basically 5 different reporting: campaign, houses, site and apps, ad network mediation, and site geostats. So each of the reporting tabs have a different purpose. So campaign reporting is for when you have when you set up an AdMob campaign. So when you are advertiser, actually you can see how your ads are performing, how many people are clicking on your ads. If you had like how much is the average CPC, and how much you are paying for your ads. So that's campaign reporting. And then house ads, if you are running a house ad, you can see like how it's being served as well. And then site and apps, this is probably the most useful for you guys, because it states that your performance as a publisher, so how much you're making from AdMob, and then how much is eCPM, how much is the fill rate, how much is the CTR. So this is the site and apps reporting. And then ad network mediation, if you're using an ad network mediation, you can compare like as Tuyem mentioned, if you're rotating InMobi, AdMob, and iAd, you can see distinctive statistics for each ad network. And the last one, site and geostats, this is very actually useful. I think it's the strongest feature on AdMob. You can actually filter each country, each regional level. So there are like 5 regions: Americas, Asia, Europe, and Oceania, and Africa. And then if you click on each region, you can actually drill down to the country level. So you can see like how your app is performing in all the different countries. So maybe you have like big impressions from Korea, and also there's you could see like how CTR varies according to each country. And then also, since every country have a different advertising market, so you can see how the eCPM actually varies by country. So one thing you can derive from this site geostats is that you can establish a strategy. So you can see like in this country our app is a little bit weak, and in this country our app is strong. So we might want to put more importance on this country. And also you can find out like this country has a really good monetization. Like, so you can focus on having getting more users from country. Like for example, Japan generally has the highest eCPM in the world, so you guys want to consider like expanding to Japan. Yeah. I guess, yeah, that's all for me. So I'm gonna hand back to Laura. Laura?
Thanks very much, Deji Hangantien. I hope that the questions that we've given you guys so far have been helpful. And I will make another post with the resources that many of us have mentioned, so specific links to either the Help Center articles and sometimes directly to the developer resources. And please do check them out. And if you have any further burning questions, our Plus page is open to you. So if you want to let us know about something that really bugs you and you'd like to have answers to, predominantly, feature problems or process problems, do let us know, because we will aggregate all that and we can handle another hangout, or maybe even create an event. Who knows? Do engage with the page, and do let us know what you think, and do let us know what you don't know, just so we can help you guys out. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you will recommend this for your friends to watch as well. And we will see you again. Enjoy the rest of the day. Bye, everybody.